Hey, this is Parker from that podcast that you're about to listen to. I want to preface this episode by saying, 1, that this episode has been split into 2 parts due to its length. Both will be releasing on the same day, so you should be able to listen to the second part right after this part. And I would also like to give a trigger warning for this podcast. So if you are more sensitive to sexual assault and sexual violence, murder, blood and gore, or gruesome depictions of rape and pedophilia, I strongly advise you do not listen to this. It is Ted Bundy. This man was fucked up. So I hope that you heed that warning, and into the episode. Bienvenue, Power Bottoms. I'm your big city Christian twunk, Parker.
And I'm your little Jewish farm boy, Dan.
And welcome to Redrum, a Murdercast,
where we talk about old dicks and their sick kicks. Theodore Robert Cal Bundy, born on November 24th, 1946, to Eleanor Louise Cowell. She lived from 1924 to 2012, also known as Louise. Yes. At the Elizabeth Lund Home for Unwed Mothers in Burlington, Vermont. That is where he was born.
That sure is.
His father's identity has never been confirmed. His birth certificate is said to assign paternity to a salesman and Air Force veteran named Lloyd Marshall, though other accounts state his father is listed as unknown.
Like the Pokemon.
Louise claimed that she had been seduced by an old money war veteran named Jack Worthington, and the King County Sheriff's Office has him listed as the father in their files. Some family members have expressed suspicions that Bundy might have been fathered by Louise's own violent, abusive father, Samuel Cow, but no material evidence has ever been cited to support this.
I bet no maternal evidence either. But that is...
I would hope not.
Oh, that's a big yikes right there. Also,
I feel like I should preface this by saying I have dyslexia and a stuttering issue.
Yes. We will get through this.
It might take a while.
Yeah, and in case it is not obvious yet, we are talking about Ted Bundy.
Yes. Him.
That one serial killer.
That bastard boy. Fuck him.
Fuck you, fucking Republican ass.
For the first 3 years of his life, Bundy lived in the Philadelphia home of his maternal grandparents, Samuel and Eleanor Cow.
They were old as fuck.
Yes, they were born in the 1800s.
What was that, before electricity?
No, they had electricity in the 1800s, hun.
No.
They did.
What? Like Red Dead Redemption times?
The late 1800s.
Red Dead Redemption times?
You had electricity in the Red Dead Redemption times.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Electricity's been around for a hot minute, bud.
Electricity's been around as long as we've had thunder. That's not
sure.
True.
It's not.
Go on.
Okay. His grandparents, Samuel and Eleanor, raised them as their own sons to avoid social stigma that accompanied birth outside of wedlock, because he was born in the 1940s. Family, friends, and even young Ted were told that his grandparents were his parents and that his mother was his older sister.
Ew.
He eventually discovered the truth, although he had varied recollections of the circumstances. He told a girlfriend that a cousin showed him his birth certificate, after calling him a bastard, in quotation marks.
He is.
But he told biographer Stephen, this is the name I can't say. McCod, yes, Stephen McCod and Hugh Ainsworth, that he found the certificate himself. Biographer and true crime writer Anne Rule, who knew Bundy personally, believed that he did not find out until 1969, when he located his original birth record in Vermont. Bundy expressed a lifelong resentment towards his mother for never talking to him about his real father and for leaving him discover his true parentage for himself.
I mean, it'll really... I can't imagine you don't end up fucked up in some way. When it's like...
I mean, yeah.
Throughout the majority of your life, you are fully believing that your grandparents are your parents and that your mom is your sister. And then just
Yeah,
one day they just pull a switcheroo.
I'm pull sneaky on you.
Like, oh, my big sister's been acting like really weird lately. I think she might be my mom.
A new Disney show. Is my sister my mom?
Mom swap?
But in some interviews, Bundy spoke warmly of his grandparents and told Rule that he identified with, respected, and clung to his grandfather.
So he kins with them.
Yes. In 1987, however, he and his other family members told attorneys that Samuel Cowell was a tyrannical bully and a bigot who hated blacks, Italians, Catholics, and Jews.
That's a weird assortment to one of those things is based on color. But then the
Yes.
others, like I have to question Italians.
Yeah.
What do you have in that time period to judge Italians on?
Pasta stinky.
Oh, you have such bad pasta. Oh, it's ruining my burger. My American burger.
Because, that's an American thing.
When was
Definitely.
Mussolini?
Mussolini was the 1940s. That's probably why.
That's probably it.
World War II.
Looks like this mystery's been solved. Wrap it up.
Woo! But Samuel Cowell also often reported that he would beat his wife and their family dog, and he also would swing neighborhood cats by their tails.
Good sport.
He's also reported to have once thrown Louise's younger sister, Julia, down a flight of stairs for oversleeping. He sometimes spoke aloud to unseen presences and at least once flew into a violent rage when the question of Bundy's paternity was raised.
That just seems like a good sporting event, though.
That's some good old father-son bonding.
Mm-hmm. Throwing cats.
Yep.
I mean, you have the stuff in the Olympics where you chuck that rock as far as you can, that you swing around, you spin around.
The orb.
Yeah, the orb. But the orb doesn't scream when you do it. And it's definitely not soft when you hold it. I think
you shouldn't throw cats. You shouldn't throw cats, please.
Hashtag alinity. Anyways.
Do not harm the cats. They are good creatures.
Please.
Bundy described his grandmother, not his grandfather. I know how to read. Bundy described his grandmother as a timid and obedient woman who periodically underwent electroconvulsive therapy for depression and feared to leave the house toward the end of her life. Oh. Bundy occasionally exhibited disturbing behavior, even at an early age. Julia recalled awakening one day from a nap to find herself surrounded by knives from the Cowell kitchen. Her 3-year-old nephew was standing at the bed, smiling.
I want you to sharpen them, each and every one.
Do it!
I gave them all names.
This is Jeff.
No.
This is John.
Don't name a knife Jeff. As in the killer. Do people still find Jeff the Killer sexy?
Probably.
Why?
People find Ted Bundy sexy. What do you mean, why?
People find Bill Hader sexy.
But Bill Hader is.
Good point.
Got you there.
Had us in the first half.
In 1950, Louise changed her surname from Cowell to Nelson. And at the urging of multiple family members, she left Philadelphia with her son to live with cousins Alan and Jane Scott in Tacoma, Washington. In 1951, Louise met Johnny Culpepper Bundy, who lived from 1921 to 2007.
Uh-oh. God, I really hate that thought. That just, at some point in my life, for a good 5 years of my life, I walked the same earth as what Bundy's
stepdaddy.
Bundy's stepdaddy. He may have been your father, boy, but he may have been your daddy. Sure as hell wasn't your father. May have been your father, wasn't your daddy. How? I don't remember how that goes.
It's fine.
Yondu. Don't be mad at me.
Johnny Bundy was a hospital cook, and he and Bundy's mother, met at an adult singles night in Tacoma's First Methodist Church.
Ooh.
They married later that year, and Johnny Bundy formally adopted Ted, creating the name we all love and hate now, Ted Bundy.
Good old Bundy.
Yes.
Just a bundle of joy.
Oh, yeah. Johnny and Louise conceived 4 children of their own, and although Johnny tried to include his adoptive son in camping trips and other family activities, Ted remained distant. He later complained to his girlfriend that Johnny wasn't his real father, and that he wasn't very bright and didn't make much money.
Ooh, Ted Bundy's a little bit of a gold digger.
Ooh.
Somebody's a little bit. What's that called? The when you're only attracted to intelligent people.
I don't know.
It's like semiosexual or something.
I don't know what that is.
Something.
Yes. Bundy had different recollections of Tacoma when he spoke to his biographers. He talked to Michaud and Ainsworth. He described how he roamed his neighborhood, picking through trash barrels in search of pictures of naked women.
Dumpster
He spoke
titties.
of dumpster titties. He spoke to Polly Nelson. He explained how he pursued detective. Yeah. Yes.
That one. Too many similar words.
Yes. He explained how he perused detective magazines, crime novels, and true crime documentaries for stories that involved sexual violence, particularly when the stories were illustrated with a picture of dead or maimed bodies. In a letter to Rule, he asserted that he never ever read the fact detective magazines and shuddered at the thought that anyone would. In his conversation with Michaud, he described how he would consume large quantities of alcohol and canvass the community late at night in search of undraped windows where he could observe women undressing or whatever else could be seen.
It's not as good as the dumpster titties, but I'll take what I can get.
Whataburger dumpster titties.
Shake it like a trash can. God, fucking. Here's a little story for you. The other day we picked up my brother from the airport because he's coming over from college, staying a bit because of coronavirus. And
Yes.
We stopped in at a Whataburger, and it was dead fucking empty in there. And as we were leaving the Whataburger, this was at like 9:30 at night, maybe, around 9:30. As we were walking out, saw two people dumpster diving in the Whataburger trash can, and I can only assume they were looking for dumpster titties.
Whataburger dumpster titties.
Whataburger dumpster titties. That's my new band. We are performing at the Paper Typewriter.
Mm-hmm. It goes along well with a band that I know of called Four Quarters and a Fuck Ton of Dimes.
I love 4 quarters and a fuck ton of dimes.
It's not an actual
and
band.
That pairs well with my Jimmy Dean sandwich and a fuck ton of Pop-Tarts.
Yes.
Continue.
Okay. Bundy also varied the accounts of his social life. He told Michaud and Ainsworth that he chose to be alone as an adolescent because he was unable to understand interpersonal relationships. He claimed that he had no natural sense of how to develop friendships. A quote from Bundy, "I don't know what made people want to be friends," he said. "I don't know what underlay social interactions." Classmates from Woodrow Wilson High School, named after a god-awful president,
yes,
told Rule, however, that Bundy was well-known and well-liked there, a medium-sized fish in a large pond.
That quote doesn't make any sense.
No, not really. If you actually just read it.
What does that mean, a medium-sized fish in a large pond? Does it mean that he's too small for his environment?
He's there.
He's just kind of there. Also, just if you don't know how to make friends, I have to say they're probably not the best. Like, if you don't understand what makes people want to be friends, that it's definitely not going to come from violence or being a pervert.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think you're gonna make many bonds. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna be wrong about this statement, but I'm gonna finish it. You might not make many bonds in high school when you purely build your friendship upon your interest in dumpster titties.
Yeah.
Although that was a very common thing, though, I guess in It still probably is still a common thing, but like more in like 70s and 80s and such. Or I guess that would have been 60s. He was in high school. Just the good old hobby of peeping through windows.
Yeah,
It's
being a
in
peeping Tom.
Yeah, it's in every single, every single high school coming of age movie or anything that takes
Yeah.
place anywhere between 1960 and 1990. It's like, you can see Stacey Dennings taking off her shirt after gym class.
It's the classic slam cut of a guy in a tree watching undress from the second story.
Yes. And then he falls
Just like,
out of the tree, and then he fucks his mom, and then he disappears from time.
yes, my favorite. This is a weird fact about Bundy, was that downhill skiing downhill skiing was his only significant athletic avocation. He enthusiastically pursued the activity by using stolen equipment and forged lift tickets. It's the 60s. It's not that hard to go skiing.
Damn boy broke. Yeah, I guess in that time, how organized is stuff like that to the point where it's like I'm betting that in the 60s, if you want to go skiing, you just got to like find somebody with a big enough hill in their backyard and be like, "I'll give you like $3 if you give me the day up there."
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But during high school, he was arrested at least twice on suspicion of burglary and auto theft. When he reached the age of 18, the details of his incidents were expunged from his record, which is customary in Washington. What the fuck happens up in Washington?
That's so fucking stupid. That is the dumbest policy.
What has to happen in Washington for you just like, yeah, this fucking little shit rat might be a fucking pervert, but he's 18.
Yeah, they're just like, we're right on his tail. We've almost caught him. All we need to do is just make sure that he commits a crime at the stroke of midnight. He's 17 and 364 days. And I know he loves his birthday crimes. Come on.
Crimes.
Come on. He's about to leave the crime scene. It's 11:59 and he's 18 and he already left. We can't do anything. Oh, now he's legally able to be tried as an adult, but we can't.
Fuck. We got him.
We're so close.
We're moving on to university years.
Ooh.
Yay. After graduating from high school in 1965, Bundy spent a year at the University of Puget Sound, abbreviated to be UPS.
Delivery man.
Before he transferred to University of Washington in 1966 to study Chinese, of all things.
But why? Why did he want to study Chinese? Also, I don't like how the University of Washington is so close to being abbreviated as UWU.
So close yet so far.
We were on the verge of greatness. But what motive did he have to learn Chinese?
I don't know. It never says.
So weird.
If you just talk to one ghost and it's Ted Bundy, it's like, why did you want to learn Chinese?
Why?
Tell me.
Tell me, Ted.
Tell me why.
I felt so racist at the Chinese restaurant ordering in English. I mean, I should be more respectful of their culture, right?
Right? Can you just imagine that nasally voice he had speaking Chinese?
Oh, God.
Me. In 1967, he became romantically involved with a UW classmate who identified by several pseudonyms in Bundy's biographies, most commonly Stephanie Brooks. In early 1968, he dropped out of college and worked at a series of minimum wage jobs. He also volunteered at the Seattle offices of Nelson Rockefeller's presidential campaign.
Welcome to McDonald's. How can I help you?
And became Arthur Fletcher's driver and bodyguard during Fletcher's campaign for lieutenant governor of Washington State.
Have you heard? The McRib is back.
In August of that year, Bundy attended the 1968 Republican National Convention in Miami. Yes. Uh-huh.
Ew.
Ended as Rockefeller's delegate. I don't know what that means, but shortly thereafter, Brooks ended their relationship and returned to her family home in California, frustrated by what she described as Bundy's immaturity and lack of ambition. Psychiatrist Dorothy Lewis later pinpointed this crisis as probably the pivotal time in his development.
What, a pivotal time in his development at like the age of 20-something?
Yes, pivotal.
Pivotal.
Important.
God, he's just, children, they're like sponges.
Yes. Devastated by Brooks' rejection, Bundy traveled to Colorado and then farther east, visiting relatives in Arkansas and Philadelphia, and enrolling for one semester at Temple University. It was at this time in early 1969, we'll believe. Dude, the funny sex number! It was at this time in early 1969, Rule believes that Bundy visited the offices of birth records in Burlington and confirmed his true parentage. Bundy was back in Washington by the fall of 1969, where he met Elizabeth Klopfer.
Klopfer.
Yes, that lady. And Bundy, identified in Bundy literature as Meg Anders, Beth Archer, and Liz Kindle, a divorcee from Ogden, Utah, who worked as a secretary in the University of Washington School of Medicine. Their stormy relationship would continue well past the initial incarceration in Utah in 1976.
So, you work in medicine, right? You're studying medicine? Yes, that's true.
Can you get me some cocaine?
Do you know how to bring somebody back to life?
Wrong serial killer.
And if you were to bring somebody back to life, would it be wrong to kill them again?
Would you kiss their corpse lips very gently?
Tell me, doctor, is it immoral to kiss the corpse?
Just the tip.
It's such a shame, buried with such pursed lips. such unmoistened cheeks. Waiting for a smoochin'.
In mid-1970, Bundy, now focused and goal-oriented, re-enrolled at UW, this time as a psychology major. He became an honor student and was well regarded by his professors. In 1971, he took a job at Seattle Suicide Hotline Crisis Center, where he met alongside Ann Rule, a former Seattle police officer. Okay, question. 1, why would he do this? And 2, how did this police officer not catch on?
Yes, and also, the police officer didn't catch on. And how also did his professors, being psychology professors, not pick up on the fact that he was incredibly deranged?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, what a kind young man.
Yes.
I don't see anything wrong with him.
It's just like he's in the classroom, just like foaming at the mouth, just like... Yeah. And all his professors are like, that's normal.
Aren't you tired of being nice? Do you ever just want to lose it?
And don't you just want to go ape shit? Ann Rule, an inspiring crime writer, would later write one of the most definitive Bundy biographies, The Stranger Beside Me. Rule saw nothing disturbing in Bundy's personality at the time and described him as kind, solicitous, and empathetic. He's a psychopath. He can't feel empathy.
Yes. How?
Bundy is literally a textbook psychopath.
That man had nothing happening behind the eyes.
No. You pick him up and look him in the eyes, and it's just do 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 do. Wow. Wow. It's the Phoenix Wright music when you find like something pivotal to a case. That's just all that plays in his head all the time.
Well, he did want to be an attorney.
He did. He wanted to be a lawyer.
Bundy Wright.
Objection!
Ted Bundy, ace attorney. Objection.
Bad.
His whirlwind romance with Miles Edgeworth.
Bad.
It's such a shame. I can't find on fanfic.net Miles Edgeworth x Ted Bundy.
I don't like that because I still have my Switch open on my TV and Phoenix Wright.
He's just there.
Mm-hmm. Edgeworth is judging me. Anyways,
Yes.
after graduating from UW in 1972, Bundy joined Governor Daniel J. Evans' re-election campaign. Posing as a college student, he shadowed Evans' opponent's former governor, Albert Rossellini, and recorded his stump speeches for analysis by Evans' team. Paradoxically, Evans appointed Bundy to the Seattle Crime Prevention Advisory Committee. After Evans was re-elected, Bundy was hired as an assistant to Ross Davis, chairman of the Washington State Republican Party.
Yeah.
Davis thought well of Bundy and described him as a smart, aggressive, and a believer in the system. What system is that? I would like to know.
What system does he believe in?
The system of murder.
System of a Down? Ow, ah, ah, ah.
In early 1973, despite mediocre law school admission test scores, Bundy was accepted into the law schools UPS and the University of Utah on the strength of letters of recommendation from Evans, Davis, and several UW psychology professors.
Just how did they not see it? How?
I don't. But during a trip to California on a Republican Party business in the summer of 1973, Bundy rekindled his relationship with Brooks. She marveled at his transformation into a serious, dedicated professional who was seemingly on the cusp of legal and political career. He continued to date Klopfer as well. Neither woman was aware of the other's existence.
Ooh.
They just didn't know they existed.
I think that's the worst thing he ever did.
SMH my head. In the fall of 1973, Bundy, this is such a pretentious little bitch boy word just for meaning enrolled, and I hate it. Bundy matriculated.
He matriculated.
And continued courting Brooks, who flew to Seattle several times to stay with him. They discussed marriage, and at one point, he introduced her to Davis as his fiancée.
I don't like the term courting there.
No.
Courting seems like very much still like an animalistic thing.
Yes. Like, I will prove my worth to this woman by presenting her with shiny objects.
The peacock will do his dance.
Yes. In January 1974, however, he abruptly broke off all contact. Her phone calls and letters went unreturned, finally reaching him by phone a month later. Brooks demanded to know why Bundy had unilaterally, that word, ended their relationship without explanation. In a flat, calm voice, he replied, "Stephanie, I have no idea what you mean," and hung up. She never heard from him again. He later, "I just wanted to prove myself that I could have married her." Brooks concluded in retrospect that he deliberately planned the entire courtship and rejection in advance as vengeance for the breakup she initiated in 1968.
Which, yeah, that is 6 years apart.
Yes.
Let it be known, that is 6 years apart. And, you know, the reason why she broke up with him in the first place was stating that he was immature. So does this come as any surprise?
No. By then, Bundy had begun skipping classes at law school. By April, he'd stopped attending entirely, as young women began to disappear in the Pacific Northwest.
It has to be a coincidence. Is this Life is Strange? Young women disappearing in the Pacific Northwest?
Perhaps.
We'll get the popcorn. Here comes the good stuff.
Woo! Murder time! Murder time! If you're sensitive to this kind of stuff, then go away.
Yeah, why are you listening to a true crime podcast?
Yes.
Why are you listening to a Ted Bundy episode? What's wrong with you?
Go away. Go watch Special Victims Unit or John Mulaney.
Go watch Steven Universe.
Go watch Steven Universe.
Love you. Bye.
In Washington, Oregon. Both of them. Both Washington and Oregon.
Yes.
They don't have the "and" there, so I was just like, it's just a city in Oregon called
Washington, Oregon is very misleading.
Yes, I was like, wait, that's not right.
I spent a good amount of time earlier today trying to remember how to draw an ampersand. I could not remember.
What does that word mean?
It's the little and symbol.
Ah.
Yes.
Ampersand.
Amberland.
Not Amberland. There is no consensus on when or where Bundy began killing women. He told different stories to different people and refused to divulge in the specifics of his earliest crimes, even as he confessed in graphic detail to dozens of later murders in the days preceding his execution. He told Nesson that he attempted his first kidnapping in 1969 in Ocean City, New Jersey, but did not kill anyone until sometime in 1971 in Seattle.
You know, he really should have if he wanted to get all of his murdering out of the way.
When was Dan Alvedon born?
I believe he was born. Let's see, he is 41 this year, right?
Yes.
So I believe he was born in...
He recently turned 41.
He recently turned 41, yeah, because his birthday was just the other day. So then I believe he was born in... No, wouldn't it be 71? Would it? 81.
No.
Right?
If it was 71, he'd be like in his almost 50s.
No, it'd be, I think, 79, right?
I think it's 79.
I think 79.
Think about this. Yeah. Dan Alvedon and Ted Bundy were alive at the same time.
But consider also, if he wanted to do all of his killing, he really should have done it, right at that stroke of midnight before he turned 18.
He should have.
He could have avoided all of this if he had just gotten it. Just, they say, that good old quote, best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. Second best time is today.
Yeah.
He missed his chance on that, where he legally could not be tried for murder. What the fuck was up with Washington?
Who knows? He told psychologist Art Norman that he killed 2 women in Atlantic City in 1969 while visiting family in Philadelphia. He hinted but refused to elaborate to homicide detective Robert D. Keppel that he committed a murder in Seattle in 1972 and another murder in 1973 that involved a hitchhiker near Tumwater.
I'm not telling you, and you're just gonna have to figure out yourself, Mr. Lawyer Man.
Rule and Keppel both believed that he might have started killing as a teenager. Circumstantial evidence suggested that he may have abducted and killed 8-year-old Anne Marie Burr of Tacoma when he was 14 years old in 1961.
He can't be tried for it.
Nope. An allegation that he repeatedly denied. Yeah, he also denied that he was guilty until his, day of execution.
Yeah.
This man cannot be trusted.
Don't believe a single word out of his mouth.
Okay, Ghost of Bundy.
I think we should talk about that a little bit. We were having a conversation, I believe, because we were watching the Ted Bundy movie with Zac Efron.
Horrible movie, by the way.
Horrible movie. He is not as handsome as Zac Efron.
No, God. But
in that movie, there is a sex scene with Ted Bundy. I won't say with who. And we brought up the question. Man, I wonder if good old Teddy Boy, was packing schmeat. So we took to Google and tried to figure out I Googled serial killer dick lengths, penis sizes. And there was a Reddit thread where somebody had a chart of how big, and most of them were around 5 inches. There was 5 inches, 4.3 inches, 3.4 inches, 5 inches. And then and then there's Richard Ramirez, and it says unknown, but probably big. And then right there, Ted Bundy, 8 inches. Just, it's completely standing out from the rest of all of them. To which somebody in the comments replied, "Nice try, Ghost of Ted." And if there's anything that could be proven more true, if there's nothing that can be proven any more true than if Ted Bundy was a ghost and he went onto Reddit, he would definitely try and make his penis seem bigger.
Yes. As any man does.
Yeah, I think
mine is a boner.
You gotta, sometimes you gotta play it up by a couple inches, just for the sake of your own thing. So, if I was to think about the average wiener size, not basing off of myself, I'd say pretty big is 0.5 inches.
It's okay, honey. We all know you have a micro penis.
It's actually called a micropenis. That's what happens when you grow up in cornfields. It's the crops. Ooh, harvest has been a little small this year.
crops are small. My crops are small.
My
My cock.
crops! You
My
fucked
cock is.
He fucked my crops!
What?
Now, enough of this tiny penis banter. Back to the killing.
Yes. Back to Moida.
Mike.
Moida. The whole thing we're supposed to talk about.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
Ooh, where was I? There we go. His earliest documented homicides were committed in 1974 when he was just 27 years old. By then, by his own admission, he had mastered the necessary skills in the era before DNA profiling to leave minimal incriminating forensic evidence at crime scenes.
Also, it must be said, at that time, and still today, forensic analysis is bullshit. It is 100% pure bullshit. Everything about dental forensics, that's all bullshit. Everything, even fingerprints, that's also bullshit. Because people think it's like, oh, you have 1 in a million fingerprints, or like 1 in a billion, whatever. Nobody else does. When it's more likely that you have 1 in 100 fingerprints or some number close to that.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to stuff like DNA evidence, it can be so incredibly wrong, so incredibly often, such as where there have been multiple inmates that have then been sent onto, they have then been killed for their crimes. And then it was discovered years later that, in fact, it wasn't actually their hair at the site of the crime, but it was, in fact, the hair of a golden retriever. So, no, DNA profiling is still kind of bullshit.
Don't believe what Phoenix Wright tells you.
Yes. That's a whole fantasy game. You get to play lawyer.
Yes, you get to play lawyer man with gay other lawyers.
Playing Phoenix Wright is the is the nerdy equivalent of wanting to feel like a cool lawyer as like dude bros when they play Call of Duty and they want to feel like a soldier. Even though it's completely unrealistic, but they just want to feel like they're the best person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I served.
Yeah. I served your mom.
I'm a veteran. Been playing since 2002.
Shortly after midnight on January 4th in 1974, around the time that he terminated his relationship with Brooks, Bundy entered the basement apartment of 18-year-old Karen Sparks, identified as Joni Lenz, Mary Adams, and Terry Caldwell by various sources.
Why does nobody know names of anybody?
I don't know.
There's every single name that they mention about anybody. There's always 5 other names after that. They're just it could have been them as well. We don't know.
Yes. A dancer and a student at UW, after bludgeoning the sleeping woman senseless with a metal rod from her bed frame, he sexually assaulted her with either the same rod or metal speculum.
Speculum? What's a speculum?
Probably
I don't like that picture. It looks like a capo for a guitar.
Uh-oh. Ouchie. Causing extensive internal injuries, she remained unconscious for 10 days, but survived with permanent physical and mental disabilities. She fucking survived?
She lived?
I'm sorry.
So is that why there's so many given names? She just couldn't remember?
I guess. But Jesus. In the early morning hours of February 1st, Bundy broke into the basement room of Linda Ann Healy, a UW undergraduate who broadcasted morning radio weather reports for skiers. He beat her unconscious, dressed her in blue jeans and a white blouse and boots, and carried her away.
Why would he?
I'd also like to mention this murder. I know more about this one a lot because I've heard stuff about it. Because
Oh, do tell.
The specific one is that he broke into her bedroom, beat her to death in her nightgown, and then undressed her, and then put new clothes on her, and hung the bloody nightgown up in her closet, covered her bed back up to make it look like she left in the morning. And her roommates didn't fucking know because she had roommates and other people lived with her, but they never knew until later that evening. They were like, "Oh yeah, she never showed up for work," which was something she would do.
So he really just weekend at Bernie'd her.
Oh yeah.
What did he do with the body then from there?
It's assumed that she might have been one of the bodies that he put up in the mountains.
Oh.
But a lot of his victims, like bodies, they weren't found.
See, this is why I don't go hiking often. Because, we got the good old White Tank Mountains out here, and those are nice. There's a nice quarry there. It's a very beautiful place. But I'm very terrified that someday I'll be like, oh, look at that lovely cactus over there. Oh, wait, that is a posed corpse.
Oh, yeah. We have a lake out here that's known for body dumping.
Is that... Oh, God. Is it the one that I'm thinking of? Is it the lake that I know?
So you only know one of them. I don't know.
It's not the one that I know?
It's not the dirty one.
Okay.
It is a Corpse Lake.
Corpse Lake.
Yes, Corpse Lake. Also, did you know that we have the world's tallest hill?
Oh, fun. How do you... Is there like a borderline between hill and mountain?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like right under that?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So we have the world's tallest hill. If we added a couple inches, we'd have the world's smallest mountain. Aren't we neat? But anyways.
Yes.
During the first half of 1974, female college students disappeared at the rate of about one per month. On March 12th, Donna Gail Manson, a 19-year-old student at Evergreen State College in Olympia, 60 miles, or 95 kilometers, southwest of Seattle.
What's up, Europe crowd?
Left her dormitory to attend a jazz concert on campus, but never arrived. On April 17th, Susan Elaine Rancourt disappeared while on her way to her dorm room after evening advisors meeting at Central Washington State in Ellensburg, 111 miles, or 175 kilometers, southeast
Canada.
Yeah. 2 female Central Washington students later came forward to report encounters. One on the night of Rancourt's disappearance, the other 3 nights earlier, with a man wearing an arm sling, asking for help carrying a load of books to his brown tan Volkswagen Beetle.
No.
Can you help me to my car?
Can you help me to my car?
On May 6th, Roberta Kathleen Parks left her dormitory at Oregon State University in Corvallis?
What is that? Corvallis, I guess.
Sounds like a Pokemon.
Kind of does. Like Corviknight.
Yeah. 85 miles, or 135 kilometers.
South America!
To have coffee with friends at Memorial Union, but never arrived. Detectives from King County and Seattle police departments grew increasingly concerned. There's no significant physical evidence, and the missing woman had little in common, apart from being young, attractive, white college students with long hair parted in the middle. Specifically, long brown hair parted in the middle.
You think that, you think that in Bundy's pants there was no significant physical evidence?
Nice try, Ghost of Ted.
Nice try. Ted Bundy micropenis, I'm going to say it.
Yes. On June 1st, Brenda Carol Ball, 22, disappeared after leaving Flame Tavern in Buren near Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. She was last seen in the parking lot talking to a brown-haired man with his arm in a sling. In the early hours of June 11th, UW student Georgianne Hawkins vanished while walking down a brightly lit alley between her boyfriend's dormitory residence and her sorority house. The next morning, 3 Seattle homicide detectives and a criminalist combed the entire alleyway on their hands and knees, finding nothing. After Hawkins' disappearance was publicized, witnesses came forward to report seeing a man that night who was in an alley behind a nearby dormitory. He was on crutches with a leg cast, and he was struggling to carry a briefcase. One woman recalled that the man asked her to help him carry the case to his light brown Volkswagen Beetle.
Ooh. I think when I buy my first car, I know exactly what I'm gonna buy.
A light brown Volkswagen Beetle?
Yeah, and I'm gonna need a lot of help.
I'm just gonna break your arm periodically. Fine.
You know how people, they do their Civil War reenactments? Just, I gotta stay in character.
Those are called copycat crimes.
Oh.
Yes, there's an actual word for it because it happens.
But if I don't do the crime and I'm just acting, like, how you would have on the Hollywood Walk of Fame somebody dressed as Hitler.
I guess.
Hollywood's a fun place.
I never want to go to California.
Don't. One of the times that I went to California, I got to see the Team 10 house.
Gross.
Yes. My dad's car shows up in a Keemstar video detailing Jake Paul.
I'm sure that's a great time.
It's pretty tight.
Lucky for me, I live in the middle of nowhere. No one knows where I live.
Yes. Shh, it's a secret.
My address is
3
house.
123 Butthead Street. Oh, there we go. 2 Paul references. Same 2 minute.
Ring the bell.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna smash that bell icon. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep them coming. Jake Paul references and Logan Paul references all through the night.
Please don't. It is 1 a.m. and I don't want to hear about Jake and Logan Paul.
Don't you?
No.
Oh.
Sorry. Itchy. Anyways, during this period, Bundy was working in Olympia as the assistant director of the Seattle Crime Prevention of the Seattle Crime Prevention Advisory Commission, where he wrote a pamphlet for women on rape prevention. Ted. Later, he worked at the Department of Emergency Services, a state government agency involved in the search for missing women.
I mean, do you think that, when he wrote that pamphlet for that, he was just like complete, like there is just such a double intention behind it. That's just like, it's like, here's how you avoid getting raped, ladies. Make sure that oh, we should probably put a trigger warning at the start of the episode.
Yeah.
It's like, just make sure if a man in a cast asks you to help him to his car, do.
Please.
Please, for the love, please.
At DES, he met and dated Carol Ann Boone, a twice-divorced mother of 2. 6 years later, would play an important role in the final phase of his life. That's T for later.
Ah.
You should remember her name.
Carol Ann Boone?
Mm-hmm.
I think of Daniel Boone, the Western guy.
I think of the guy from the movie Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans?
Yeah, it's a football movie, also set during the Civil Rights Movement.
Ah, great.
Mm-hmm.
I think of Daniel Boone.
Reports of the 6 missing women and Sparks' brutal beating appeared prominently on newspapers and on television throughout Washington and Oregon. Fear spread among the population. Hitchhiking by young women dropped sharply. Pressure mounted on law enforcement agencies, but the
more asshole words. Hang on, let me Google it. Copy and search. Ooh, what does it mean? Paucity, the presence of something only in small or insufficient quantities or amounts. Scarcity, a paucity of information.
Bruh.
God, just say scarce. Just say scarce amount.
But the scarce amount of physical evidence severely hampered them. Police could not provide reporters with the little information that was available for fear of compromising the investigation.
Matriculate.
Further similarities between the victims were noted. The disappearance all took place at night, usually near ongoing construction work within a week of midterm or final exams. All of the victims were wearing slacks or blue jeans. It's weird specific, I guess.
Huh.
And at most crime scenes, they were sightings of a man wearing a cast or a sling, driving a brown or tan Volkswagen Beetle.
Oh, just these finals are stressing me out so much. I wish someone would just kill me so I could get out of them. Oh, hello, casted man.
Yes.
Hello, injured man.
This is why so many people died in the 70s, because people had too much trust.
Yes. That was back in the day when it's like old people, boomers, they say now, it's like, the young folks, they're not hospitable at all. They won't even open their door for somebody. But it's like, you wonder how they had all the killers in the 70s when it'd be like, yes, I'm here to sell you this nondescript brand vacuum cleaner. Can I enter your place of residence?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me go ahead and leave the room for a few minutes to make you food.
Yeah, no. The Pacific Northwest murders culminated on July 14th with a broad daylight abductions of 2 women from a crowded beach at Lake Sammamish State Park in Issaquah?
That is a weird one.
Issaquah, a suburb 20 miles or 30 kilometers east of Seattle. 5 female witnesses described an attractive young man wearing a white tennis outfit with his left arm in a sling, speaking with a light accent, perhaps Canadian or British.
Oi, mate.
Introducing himself as Ted. A little factoid, for a while, these murders were known as the Ted murders.
The Ted murders?
Because that's the only thing they knew about him at the time was that his name was Ted. So they were just like, oh, the Ted.
The most menacing of killer names. Today we are solving the Ted murders.
Theodore.
The mystery of the Ted murders have gone unsolved.
He asked their help in unloading a sailboat from his tan or bronze-colored Volkswagen Beetle.
Sailboat?
Mm-hmm. He was at a park, like a beach park.
Where did he get a sailboat?
The sailboat's not real.
No!
4 refused.
I want the Bundy boat.
4 refused, one accompanying him as far as his car, saw that there was no sailboat, and fled. 3 additional witnesses saw him approach Janice Ann Ott, 23, probation caseworker in the King County Juvenile Court, with the sailboat story, and watched her leave the beach in his company. About 4 hours later, Denise Mary Nosland, a 19-year-old woman who had been studying to become a computer programmer, left a picnic to go to the restroom and never returned. Bundy told Stephen Michaud and William Hagmayer that Ott was still alive when he returned with Nosland. Now, he forced one to watch as he murdered the other, but he later denied it in an interview with Lewis on the eve of his execution. Kings County Police, finally armed with a detailed description of their suspect and his car, posted flyers throughout the Seattle area. A composite sketch was printed in regional newspapers and broadcast on television stations. Elizabeth Klopfer, Ann Rule, and a DES employee and a UW psychology professor all recognized the profile, sketch, and the card, reported Bundy as a possible suspect.
I recognize that face. That's that bear from the movie Ted.
But detectives, who were receiving up to 200 tips per day, thought it was unlikely that a clean-cut law student with no adult criminal record could be the perpetrator. Yeah, because his fucking criminal record was expunged.
Must be exhausting taking 200 tips a day.
I mean, it's a kind of like thing from the Captain America movies during like the Winter Soldier movie where it was like, oh, people keep reporting that the Winter Soldier goes to their gym.
Oh yeah, I saw the guy. He was up your ass.
Funny. On September 6th, 2 grouse hunters stumbled across the skeletal remains of Ott and Nosland near a service road in Issaquah, 2 miles, 3 kilometers east of Lake Sammamish State Park. An extra femur and several vertebrae found at the site were later identified by Bundy as Georgianne Hawkins.
Oh, that's such an old name in this case.
6 months later, forestry students from Green River Community College discovered the skulls and mandibles of Healy, Rancourt, Parks, and Ball on Taylor Mountain, where Bundy frequently hiked just east of Issaquah. Manson's remains were never recovered.
I don't like the word mandibles. I'm not a fan of that. It's a very that's your lower jaw is your mandible, but it just it's a very insectoid kind of sound.
Yes. We're moving on to different states: Idaho, Utah, and Colorado.
Idaho, Utah, and the country of Colorado.
Yes. The country of Colorado, the state of Utah, and the city of Idaho. In August 1974, Bundy received a second acceptance from the University of Utah Law School and moved to Salt Lake.
Also known as UL.
Yes.
UL. UL School.
Leaving Klopfer in Seattle. While he called Klopfer often, he dated at least a dozen other women.
Ugh.
When he When he studied the first-year law curriculum a second time, he was devastated to find out the other students had some intellectual capacity that he didn't. He found the classes completely incomprehensible, and it was a great disappointment to me, he said. You're just fucking stupid, Ted.
It's oh god, it's like that thing in the "Am I the Asshole" thread of that one girl that she was in creative writing, and she called one of the other students a feeble-minded twit for not enjoying her graphically laid out cunnilingus scene in betwixt writing about getting drunk,
Bruh.
which she thought was true art.
There's no true art in horny writing. Keep that shit to AO3. A new string of homicides began the following month, including 2 that would remain undiscovered until Bundy confessed to them shortly before his execution. Not after.
Oh, I'm here to tell you about my murders and my penis.
On September 2nd, he raped and strangled a still unidentified hitchhiker in Idaho. Then either disposed of the remains immediately in a nearby river, turned the next day to photograph and dismember the corpse. Yikes! This next one is a yikes. On October 2nd, he seized 16-year-old Nancy Wilcox in Holiday, a suburb of Salt Lake City. Her remains were buried near Capitol Reef National Park, some 200 miles south of Holiday, but were never found.
God, I hate the thing about that of like all those that have yet to have been found, because that means that someday that it's just going to be like, however many years from now, or maybe they've even been found already by somebody, but it's just unidentifiable by now.
I would imagine.
It's like, you're just like, what do they say? I don't want to go hiking up into the White Tank Mountains, and then I just see up there toward the top of it, just like 200-year-old bones.
Oh yeah. On October 18th, Melissa Ann Smith, 17-year-old daughter of the police chief in Midvale, another Salt Lake City suburb, disappeared after leaving a pizza parlor. Her nude body was found in a nearby mountainous area 9 days later.
The pizza wasn't worth it.
Post-mortem examination indicated she may have remained alive for up to 7 days following her disappearance.
Oh, I don't like that.
On October 31st, Halloween, Laura Ann Aim, 17, disappeared 25 miles south of Lee. After leaving a cafe just after midnight, her naked body was found by hikers 9 miles to the northeast in American Fork Canyon on Thanksgiving Day.
Werewolf bar mitzvah, spooky, scary, girls becoming women, women becoming dead.
Both women had been beaten, raped, sodomized, and strangled with nylon stocking.
Ugh.
Years later, Bundy described his post-mortem rituals with the corpses of Smith and Aim, including hair shampooing and the application of makeup.
Oh, why does he know that? Was he just like stalking them for a while?
Probably.
Oh God, he was a peeping Tom.
Mm-hmm. He just figured out how to shampoo their hair and was like, "Yes, makeup."
Guys, that thing that thing in
Could you imagine going hiking and then you see this guy just looming over this woman's dead body, putting makeup on her?
God, oh no.
And this, kids, is why I don't go outside.
But it just seems like with the stalking of like their shampooing application, all that, like watching them shower, that it's like that thing in comedies where it's like, oh, I'm accidentally in this bathroom with this lady who's showering. I gotta reach for my towel, and then they reach over and then they grab the dude's penis. It's like, oh, that's the towel rod.
He didn't watch them shower.
Oh? Huh?
Post-mortem.
Oh.
After they died, he would wash their hair and put makeup on them.
Ah.
Yes, that is what post-mortem means, after death.
I thought it was talking about that post-mortem ritual that he had learned from when they were waking.
No.
And continued.
No. In the late afternoon on November 8th, Bundy approached 18-year-old telephone operator Carol Duranch in a Fashion Place mall in Murray. Less than a mile from the Midvale restaurant where Melissa Smith had last seen, he identified himself as Officer Roseland of Murray Police Department and told DeRange that someone had attempted to break into her car. This was a Bundy movie.
Yes.
He asked her to accompany him to the station to file a complaint. When DeRange pointed out to Bundy that he was driving on a road that did not lead to the police station, he immediately pulled to the shoulder and attempted to handcuff her. He pulled over.
Yep.
During the struggle, he inadvertently fastened both handcuffs to the same wrist, and Durant was able to open the car door and escape.
Later that evening, dumbass.
Yeah.
So get your rights and lefts right.
Stupid ass.
Head ass.
This dude.
Look at this dude.
Later that evening, Deborah Jean Kent, a 17... Yeah, I was going to say Jean.
Fire up the grill.
17-year-old student at Viewmont High School in Bountiful, 20 miles north of Murray, disappeared after leaving a theater production at the school to pick up her brother. The school's drama teacher and a student told the police that a stranger had asked each of them to come out to the parking lot to identify a car. Another student later saw the same man pacing in the rear of the auditorium, and the drama teacher spotted him again shortly before the end of the play. This dude is so fucking stupid. He just walk out in like broad daylight and be like, "Hey, you want to get in my car with me, innocent child?"
Also, all of his different things of how to lure somebody are all car related.
Yeah,
like he has no way of knowing like how to lure people other than just like talking about his car.
Yeah.
He's one step away from just, I have a puppy in my van.
Yeah. In November, Elizabeth Klopfer called King County Police a second time after reading that young women were disappearing in towns surrounding Salt Lake City. Detective Randy...
Oh. I see it. You want any help, or is your Austrian heritage enough?
Detective Randy Hergesheimer.
Hergesheimer.
That has to be a Jewish last name.
Hergesheimer.
That has to be a Jewish last name. That's such a Jewish last name.
Let me pop that into Google real quick. Hergesheimer.
Hergesheimer.
Oh my god, it's so good. Hergesheimer. Hergesheimer Motorsports. Apparently. Joseph Hergesheimer. No, okay, there's a lot of people. There's an author within Joseph Hergesheimer, American author. Okay.
Odd. Wonder if they're related.
Hergesheimer.
But yes, Detective Randy Hergesheimer of the Major Crimes Division interviewed her in detail. By then, Bundy had risen considerably on the King County hierarchy of suspicion, but Lake Sammamish witness considered most reliable by the detectives failed to identify him photo lineup. In December, Klopfer called the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office and repeated her suspicions. Bundy's name was added to the list of suspects. But at that time, no credible forensic evidence linked him to the Utah crimes. Well, no fucking credible forensic evidence exists.
Yep. Actually none. Forensic evidence, yes, there is credible evidence. Forensic science, fake.
Yes. In January 1975, Bundy returned to Seattle after his final exams and spent a week with Klopfer, who did not tell him that she had reported him to the police on 3 separate occasions. She made plans to visit him in Salt Lake City in August. My nose is itchy.
You gotta get it. Itch that nose.
1975. Bundy shifted much of his criminal activity eastward.
Bundy shitted.
He did. He shits once a year.
Born to shit, forced to wipe. You think Ted Bundy washed his ass? Because I don't.
No. That man probably didn't wipe.
I wonder why your girlfriend broke up with you after you left a fucking skid mark on her sheets.
Gross. January 12th, a 23-year-old registered nurse named Karen Eileen Campbell disappeared while walking down a well-lit hallway between the elevator and her room at the Wildwood Inn, now the Wildwood Lodge, in Snowmass Village. That sounds so fake.
Snomass?
Snom?
Snom's ass?
Hmm.
Also, 400 miles southeast of Salt Lake City there. At that point, why measure?
Yeah.
It has no relation to Salt Lake City.
Yeah. Her nude body was found a month later next to a dirt road just outside the resort. She had been killed by blows to the head from a blunt instrument that left distinctive linear groove depressions on her skull. Her body also had deep cuts from a sharp weapon.
Got some groovy depressions myself.
Mm-hmm. On March 15th, 100 miles northeast of Snowmass, Vail ski instructor Julie Cunningham, 26, disappeared while walking from her apartment to a dinner date with a friend. Bundy later told Colorado investigators that he approached Cunningham on crutches and asked her to help him carry his ski boots to his car, where he clubbed and handcuffed her, then assaulted and strangled her at a secondary site near Rifle, 90 miles west of Vail. Weeks later, he made the 6-hour drive from Salt Lake City to revisit her remains.
That's a long-ass drive.
Yeah.
Also, to go back to linear groovy depressions, you know something I discovered recently that's fucking me up? I was feeling around on the top of my head a little bit, rubbing my head, and then I noticed that on the top of my head where my headphones rest, I just have a big fucking dent.
Tyler 1.
I just got a big fucking Tyler 1 dent on the top of my head, and it's fucking me up.
Why I wear earphones. Also because I hate over-the-head headphones.
I can't stand in-ear headphones because maybe I'm just some kind of bastard or something. I don't know. Because I don't like in-ear headphones because I think I just have like weird shaped ear canals, so they never fit and they're always uncomfortable, no matter what size.
You're a freak. You
got fucked up ear canals.
Denise Lynn Oliverson, 25, disappeared near a Utah-Colorado border in Grand Junction on April 6 while riding her bicycle to her parents' house. Her bike and sandals were found under a viaduct near a railroad bridge. On May 6, Bundy lured 12-year-old Annette Dawn Culliver of Alameda Junior High in Pocatello, Idaho. Pocatello, Idaho, 160 miles north of Salt Lake City.
Why are you measuring?
He drowned and then sexually assaulted her in his hotel room before disposing of her body in a river north of Acapella, possibly Snake.
Possibly the Snake? What?
Possibly the Snake.
Is that like a river there? Yes, that is a river. The Snake River is a major river of the Greater Pacific Northwest region in the United States at 1,078 miles, 1,735 kilometers. It is the largest tributary of the Columbia River. In turn, the largest North American river that empties into the Pacific Ocean. Interesting. But y'all didn't think you were getting a fucking geography lesson.
But now you are.
Motherfuckers in school.
Did you come here for murder, bad jokes, and geography? Well, you're in the right spot.
This club has everything. Charts, graphs, a guy who still needs help getting to his car. Currently going 90 miles per hour down the West Side Highway in Salt Lake City.
So many people aren't going to get that.
No, but the ones that do are the ones that I love dearly.
Yes. If you don't get it, there's a little thing called... Please watch Stefan on SNL.
And if you do get it...
Yes, that kiss is for you.
Yes.
It is 1:30 in the morning.
Oh, God, yeah. We're not even... We're getting close to the midway point.
In midday, 3 of Bundy's Washington State DES coworkers, including Caroline Boone, visited him in Salt Lake City and stayed for a week in his apartment. Bundy subsequently spent a week in Seattle with Klopfer in early June, and they discussed getting married. The following Christmas, again, Klopfer made no mention of her multiple discussions with the Kings County and Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. Bundy
Same thing.
disclosed neither his ongoing relationship with Boone nor current romance with a Utah law student known in various accounts as Kim Andrews or Sharon.
Why does everybody have so many names?
Because it's the 70s. Names aren't real.
Names are just like a societal construct.
You can call me
You can call me
Gust of Wind.
Hugh.
On June 28th, Susan Curtis vanished from the campus of Brigham Young University in Provo. What?
Brigham.
Brigham sounds funnier.
Big Ham.
Yes. South of Salt Lake City. Yep. Curtis' murder became Bundy's last confession, tape-recorded moments before he entered the execution chamber.
Mm.
The Ted Bundy tapes is a series on Netflix, and it's actually really cool.
I still need to look into that.
It's a good series.
All I've seen is just the shitty Zac Efron movie.
Yeah.
Which also a much shittier movie than the Ross Lynch Jeffrey Dahmer movie.
My Friend Dahmer.
Both awful movies, but you know.
My Friend Dahmer was a better movie.
You know, I say still, it's like, yeah, when I say they were awful movies, I don't mean it in the way that like my mom means it. Where you're just like, oh, those are awful movies about awful things. It's like the person that reported you on Redbubble.
Yeah.
Mature content because what sticker got removed?
It was a portrait that I did of Ted. Yeah. And I even like put in the description that he was like a dirty bastard and I hate him.
Yeah, like this is not like, meant to praise him. Yeah, go to Redbubble and look up cactus rice and buy some stickers.
Please, I am very poor.
I am very gay and would like a few dollars.
Yep, that's me. Where was I? There it was. The bodies of Wilcox, Kent, Cunningham, Oliverson, Culver, and Curtis were never recovered.
Oh. It's a lot of bodies.
In August or September of 1975, Bundy was baptized in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He became a Mormon!
Oh!
I'm pretty sure that's what that is.
Is it?
I think.
Latter-day Saints?
That's Mormon?
Is it? Let me look it up before we start spouting off about that.
Yeah.
Latter-day Saints. Mormon? Official LDS or Mormon beliefs. I believe it is Mormon. Yes. Notice the LDS, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, often informally known as the LDS Church or Mormon Church. Okay. It's Mormon.
Ah. Yes.
Oh, shout out to Tyler Glenn. Woo! Beyond trees.
Although he was not an active participant in services and ignored most church restrictions. Yeah, like murder.
Mm-hmm.
He would later be excommunicated by the LDS Church following his 1976 kidnapping conviction.
Once again, shout out to Tyler Glenn.
When asked his religious preference after his arrest, Bundy answered Methodist, the religion of his childhood. So why would you become a fucking Mormon?
Why did he become a Mormon then?
In Washington state, investigators were still struggling to analyze the Pacific Northwest murder spree that ended as abruptly as it had begun. In an effort to make sense of an overwhelming mass of data, not data, you cucks, they resorted to then innovative strategy of compiling a database. They used the King County payroll computer, a huge primitive machine by contemporary standards, but the only one available for their use. After inputting the many lists they had complied, classmates and acquaintances of each victim, Volkswagen owners named Ted, known sex offender, and so on, they queried, I think that's that word, the computer for coincidences. Out of 1,000 names, 26 turned up on forcible list. One was Ted Bundy. Detectives also manually compiled a list of 100 of their 100 best suspects. And Bundy was on that list as well. He was literally at the top of the pile of suspects when word came from his Utah Word came from Utah of his arrest.
Boy, ooh, top of his class. Also, this now brings us to we're at the halfway point of this. Which brings us to our next segment of Jewish cats.